What is up, Hannah Coor? What a treat we get to have you on the show today. Thanks so much for joining me.
Of course.
So excited to have you on. And I know this is your off day and there's a million things you could be doing. So we appreciate you taking the time. But I love asking guests on the What's Up podcast what they're all about at the moment. And I know you have your sport, which takes up a lot of time, but is there something silly like a new life hack, a food, a restaurant, a new dance you really like, music? What is Hannah all about right now?
Music, 100%. You can ask any of my teammates, I'm constantly singing the most random song that pops in my head. Typically, it is gospel music, so I'm kind of spreading the word at the same time, but I am constantly singing all the time.
Hey, that's a very good trait to have if you're just spewing out scripture, right? You're just singing.
Yep.
And I think
Yeah,
that's
I'm
a
a
great
great
lesson,
singer,
though.
but it's fun.
So fun. I think it's a great lesson, though, because what you fill your mind with and what you spend your time listening to is just going to come out of you naturally whenever you're just humming or singing, probably on the field. So that's amazing. But I'm excited to hear more about your softball story. But I've never been to Nebraska. And so I'm so curious, like, what is Nebraska's campus like?
You would think it's like all cornfields and a lot of nothingness, but it's really not. Like to me, Lincoln, Nebraska is bigger than my old school in Norman. And I think just because the capital, there's a lot going on. There's a bunch of different food places. Campus is huge. It's really pretty. But you still have like the traditional feel of like the Midwest. Like it's still Midwest feel, but a bigger city, I guess.
I love it. I know because you would never know if you don't know. If people just think, the flyover states and they're
Yes.
just going to assume. I love that. So what's your go-to spot on campus or I guess off campus?
I just went to a new place last night, Lead Belly, I think it was, and then I got a burger. Oh, it was phenomenal. It was great, and yesterday was nice and sunny, so we got to sit on the patio and just eat and hang out with my family. It was awesome.
Once the sun comes out in the spring, it's like game changer.
Yes, 100%.
Game changer. So outside of just playing softball at Nebraska, what's been a highlight just from going to school at Nebraska this year?
I think the coolest thing is coming to Nebraska and reuniting with Jordy because we used to play at Oklahoma together, and we were roommates for 2 years. And just being able to play with her again and like rekindle our friendship because like we've been friends for a very long time, but just being able to like take the field and do all the fun things that we used to do like outside of softball, just doing that again, just living in the same area, it just brings up like a lot of old memories and then creating a bunch of new ones, which has been so awesome.
So special. What was that moment like when you told Jordy or Jordy found out that you would be coming to Nebraska?
So I texted Jordy when I entered the portal. I was like, Jordy, okay, I'm officially in. I'm officially in. She's like, okay, okay, okay. Like she was all excited and everything. And then we got like my visit planned and we went to the restaurant or whatever. And I literally remember like running into the restaurant and like jumping into Jordy's arms. And I was like, dude, like we haven't seen each other in so long because like we're both so busy. But I think that was like maybe the second time we've ever hugged in our life because that's not the type of people we are. But that was for
We're
sure.
best friends, but we just
Yes,
don't hug.
that's
Yeah.
how you know it's true friendship.
That is hilarious. You know what's really funny is I have one of my best friends and I would say we're both not like the most like personal touch type,
Yes.
but you know that like we were either really going through it or that we were really excited to see each other when we
Yes,
were hugging,
for sure. Yes,
That is so
100%.
good. Well, what an awesome recruiting tool too to have for them to get you to come to Nebraska. But you are also a three-time national champion. And like you mentioned, the two schools, Oklahoma and Nebraska, playing for just iconic programs in this country, which takes hours of preparation just to even be able to play on those teams, but then get to the College World Series and get the job done. So just take me back. When did you first know that you had the dream to play college softball?
I was super young. I remember when I was young, I was always pretty good, but I was always pretty small. So I was always smaller than the rest of the kids. But yeah, I just kept working. And then I think I was like 10 or 12 when I was like, okay, I want to go to college and play softball and I want to win. And like that was my biggest thing. And for the longest time, my dream school was Tennessee. And my whole room was orange. I had orange everything. And I was like a diehard Tennessee fan. And I just,
From California.
yeah,
Do you have
from
any tie
California.
to Tennessee?
One of our close family friends, she played softball there a long, long time ago. But I just really wanted to go there. And that was my dream school. And then, like, you know, you grow up and you get, you get a list and then kinda get in your head or whatever, but just yeah, I was probably 10 or 12 when I was like, "College softball, that's for me, and I wanna win, and I wanna be really good at it."
I love it, and it worked, and that dream came true, and you're still living it, which is incredible,
Yes.
but to be able to separate yourself from the athlete that just does the bare minimum or just does what their coach tells them or just does the basic running that they're supposed to do or the basic workouts that they're supposed to do, you had to go above and beyond. So what did your training look like when you think back to your youth softball days? You can say, man, I'm so glad I did. That was a little crazy, but I did it. Or that was unconventional, but I did it. But or that was a sacrifice that I made, but I did it. And looking back and saying, man, that really helped me get to where I am today.
Yeah, I remember just being a kid and always being outside. Whether it was playing wiffle ball with the neighborhood kids or just anything, we were just playing ball all the time. And I did lessons, I did it all. And I remember I was still in rec ball, I think, and we had like played like a big tournament or something. And I go right back home and get in the backyard and I'm hitting off the tee. And because like I didn't do too well and I wanted to get better, but I was just totally consumed by just wanting to be so good and like doing fielding lessons during the week. And I was the youngest in the older girls class and just always pushing myself to like be as good as them because I was so small and so young. So I just wanted to be just as good at the as them, if not better. So just always having people around me to push me because I wanted to be the best. No one was going to work harder than me, and like I wanted to be the very best at what I love to do.
Well, I love that. And even just like the fielding practices that you were doing in the middle of the week. Because
Yeah.
I can imagine at that age a lot of kids just want to hit and they just kind of want to have that moment. And so it's certainly paid off based off of your seasons that you've had throughout college. But we mentioned it before, three-time national champion. You've been to the postseason many times throughout your college career, which is hard because it gets tiring too at the end of the season. So can you just describe the difficulty because we say, oh yeah, three-time national champion, been to the postseason, college World Series. That has holds a lot of weight. Can you just describe the difficulty of getting to that game?
Yeah, it's tough. It's not easy at all. And the later you get in the season, the harder it gets because it's just you're exhausted and season it's a grind. Um, and I just remember it was my sophomore year I was redshirting and it was the longest year of my life because I was hurt, I couldn't play, and just I remember the other girls talking about it. They were exhausted too, and it's a grind. But I remember also my redshirt junior year, I think, at Oklahoma or my 3rd year at Oklahoma. I always get confused with my red shirts and all that. But I
Hey, if you get
remember
confused, imagine what like the broadcast team is get how they're getting
I was like,
confused.
I
So
don't
like
even
it's
know how
all
old I
good.
am. But it was my 3rd year, and I remember we had just, finished, and I just start crying. And I'm like, "We won, but why are you crying?" Because I was like I was so ready to just be done. I was done. I needed a break, and I remember just a lot of other girls felt the same because it is a grind and, a lot of people want things from you, like, during that time, and you just, like you wanna give it to them because you, like, wanna help people and, like, all of that, but it's tough, because it's grueling on your body and your mind, on your spirit, like, it's a tough season, but it's worth it, fighting with those girls is something that I'll never forget, and just, like, holding up that trophy at the end of the day with those girls was pretty cool.
Thank you for sharing that and just the rawness of it because I lived that throughout college lacrosse. It was hard going into the postseason, then coming home when you're like, we won, but I'm crying. Like, why am I crying? And
Yeah.
it's just the weight of almost being so locked in for such a long period of time and really sacrificing a lot of things outside of your sport and almost just that release of like, okay, like there is a next thing tomorrow and it looks very different from what I just did the last 10
Yes.
months. And so would you mind taking me back to that sophomore year when you were hurt and just describe what it was like to hold both like my team is succeeding, this is incredible, like I'm living the dream, but also like shoot, this is not the personal situation and even just being in physical pain throughout that season.
My sophomore year was definitely the worst year of my life. I got baptized my freshman year, and that's when I like really like got into my faith. And then my sophomore year came around, and I got hurt, and then like I ended up needing surgery. And I just remember feeling so just like why? Like I worked so freaking hard. I had a really good fall. Like I was super excited for that season, and I just had this, like, grueling pain in my back for the longest time, but I just kept going through it because I wanted to play, I wanted to play. I was so excited to finally, just be able to play. Um, but I needed surgery. Didn't travel for a little bit because I just had surgery on my back. I couldn't really move too well. So it was just a lot of lonely days in my house by myself while my team, is living my dream. And that was really hard. And then when I got better, or when I was able to really walk around again, I was able to go to the field and watch practices or watch games, and I would try and chart to keep me, like, distracted and, like, locked into the game. And I just remember I was not a very good person at that point. Like, I just completely lost myself because I was so upset and angry with everyone. I was angry at God, I was angry at myself, I was angry at my coaches, my teammates, my trainers. Like, I was in so much pain that it was just anger, and anger just completely consumed me. And, like, now looking back, I wish I would have done it completely different. But I would not be who I am without that. Um, and I just remember one time, like, all the girls were gone and it was just me in my room, and I just cried out to the Lord, and I was like, please save me, because, like, I was scared for myself. And that was a really dark time for my life, because I felt like I had nothing. Like, I had, they talk about a little mustard seed of faith, and, like, I didn't even know if I had that. But, the Lord, golly, like, He saved me 100%. And, like, people ask me, like, "Oh, how do you know God's real? How do you know, Jesus saves you? Da, da, da." I'm like, I looked at my life without Jesus, and I see my life now with Jesus, and it's completely different. Like, it was black and now I see color. And, like, the joy that I have now and, like, what I'm doing now for, like, my last year is just I'm just trying to have fun. I'm trying to have so much fun and just play with a joyful heart, because I know that, like, the joy that I have isn't circumstantial. It's not from playing, it's not from hitting a home run or making a diving play, but it's the joy from the Lord. And, like, He sacrificed so much for me and for every single one of us, and, like, He already won. So what I'm doing is just fun, and I get to do all of this and do everything that I love through Him. And, like, what I pray before the game is that when people see me play, that they see Him, and they see His grace and His love and His freedom, and mostly His joy. And, like, that's the biggest thing that I have for myself this year, and we've kind of been talking a lot about it as a team, is just joy. And, like, it's just so cool. It makes me emotional, like, thinking about, like, where I was to now. But that's just God. Like, that is God 100%. So, yeah.
Wow, Hannah, that is a beautiful testimony story. Like, I want to listen to that on repeat like 5 times. That was so incredibly and just beautifully said. So, thank you for sharing
Yeah,
just
of
the
course.
realness of that and how cool it is for you to say now, my joy and my fun isn't from my circumstance. And your circumstance is different. You are playing on one of the top teams in the country. You are thriving. You're killing it. You've had top 10 place sports center worthy plays this whole season. Like, incredible plays to help your team win. Like, there are circumstances that actually are different, but you're saying it's actually not that, it's Jesus. And I think that is so cool and so powerful. And I just love how real you were explaining, like, just being in your room isolated away from your team, which is in itself just hard to not be able to travel with the team, let alone being in physical pain. When you were in those moments when you had to be alone or you had the clipboard in your hand and it is like the worst feeling ever, like, I know it. When you're in those moments, what did you do to really lean into Jesus and to really get to know him better so that he could change your life, like you said?
I think for the longest time, I didn't wanna I didn't want to talk to him. I was done. Because I was just in so much pain, and then, I needed another surgery again, and I just kept asking why. Like, that was my biggest thing, is, like, if you're so good, why am I hurting so bad? Like, I couldn't understand that. But right after my second surgery, I gave it all up. I said, "This is all yours. You have it. You take what you desire. Like, my life is yours now. I'm done. Like, I don't wanna be the one in control of it anymore. Like, it's too much." 'Cause I was trying to do too much with, what I had and the little that what I thought was little of what I had. But I think the biggest thing that I did was just reach into other believers and borrow their faith, and I think that's a real thing, and you can borrow people's faith when, when you're not feeling it the most. So, like, I was surrounded by people like Riley Boone and Grace Lyons and Tiara Jennings and Alyssa Brito and all those people, and they didn't let me go down. They kept pulling me back up, and they're like, come on, like, come to church, come to do this, like, would send me Bible verses. Like, I remember one year Grace Green was already graduated, but I had her bat, and she had written a Bible verse on it. And I remember when I was just so upset, I just remember covering it with tape. And then it got to the point where I was like, okay, that was really bad of me. And I remember undoing it. And I want to say it was somewhere in First Timothy, but that one was just like, that was a God moment, because I was like, why would I ever do that? Like, now looking back, I'm like, that just gives me such a sour taste in my mouth. I was so, like, annoyed and angry that I literally covered it. And just the complete flip side of, like, I want it everywhere. I want everyone to know Jesus. Like, Jesus is this most awesome guy and the most perfect man to ever live. And the only thing that I want to do with my life is spread his love. And I want everyone to know Jesus, because, he is the most perfect man and he is the ultimate healer. And my body doesn't feel completely great. Like, I'm old, I have 2 surgeries, my body's hurting, but he healed my head. And that's what the biggest thing was hurting was my head. And he patched up my little cracks, like, little by little, to make me whole again.
Well, thank you for sharing that about the story about the tape, because I think, like you said, it's so cool to see, and it's so it's so powerful to hear that from you. Because if they're young softball players and they go check out Hannah Coor on Instagram, they're gonna see like testimonials for captions. They're gonna see like the word of God on there. Like, they're gonna really see your heart for Jesus pour out onto your most public platform. And I think what's so cool about that is you can say, hey, like, but look what he brought me from. And like, no one is perfect. We are all like messed up. Like, every day we have to decide to follow Jesus. And so I think that's so real of you to just be able to say, hey, even in my college softball career, this short amount of time in my life, like, this is where the Lord has brought me. And I love the story about just your Oklahoma teammates really borrowing their faith, because there are so many times in my life where I've had to really lean on someone else to encourage me and fill me and fill me with the word of God. Now, when you look to now being a senior on this Nebraska team, how has that influenced the way that you handle younger girls on your team and really try to be the leader that you are today?
Yeah, I've learned from the best. And that's, I think, the easiest way to say it is I want to be the older girls that I had for the younger girls on the team, you know? And softball's hard, like, it's a game of failure, and it's really easy to get upset with yourself, and, like, lose yourself in the dugout when you're upset after striking out or rolling over, but just gravitating towards them. And I've noticed some of them gravitate towards me now when that's happening, and I think that's really cool to see. Or they ask me to pray with them, and if they're nervous or if they're struggling, and I think that's, like, just a full circle moment, because, like, that used to be me, and, like, now I can be that for somebody. And I think that's the coolest thing of just seeing how God has worked through me to, like, be more of a mature believer and being able to, like, redirect people towards Jesus instead of, like, "Yeah, you rolled over, but you suck." Like, "No, you don't suck." Like, it happens. Like, I roll over all the time. Like, I struck out yesterday, but it's okay. Like, it's just a game. And at the end of the day, like, it's just for fun. Like, we're all just having fun. Um, but yeah, like, it's been a full circle moment of just, like, spreading my love for Jesus and, like, really just wanting to be the hands and feet of Jesus and just showing the younger ones that, like, softball is not everything. Your identity isn't you're just a softball player. Like, I'm not just Hannah Coor, the softball player, but I'm Hannah Coor. I am a daughter of the king. I'm a believer, and I'm also pretty good at softball. And I think that's something that we all have, like, tried to lean into more this year, of just not we're not just softball players, and, like, we're not just here to play softball, but to, like, leave a message for younger girls and, like, inspire them and whatever that might be, but just more of a like, a direct impact, not just on the softball community, I guess.
Definitely. And that impact is going to last years and years and years and years. And I think that's so cool is that like you're meeting some of your best friends for life, regardless of whether or not they play softball, right? And they just happen to play softball. And so I think that's what's really special. And at the same time, like you're trying to win national championships. Like I think that's what's so cool about what you're saying is yes, like it is not who you are, but at the same time, you can also strive for your dreams and your goals and you can be an elite competitor. I have noticed that you do this hashtag someday on a lot of your posts. What is that?
So, when I was going through the thick of it, when I was, pretty in, like, my own little world for the longest time, or from that sophomore year, there's this Zach Bryan song, and it talks about, someday he's basically the epitome of is it someday he's gonna be in heaven, and he's gonna meet Jesus, and at least that's what I have taken it into. Um, but for the longest time, I loved that song because it was just talking about all of these some days. Like some days I won't feel like this. Someday I'm gonna be better. Someday I'm gonna be playing softball again. Someday, someday, someday. And then at the end, it kind of just was like saying that someday has been here the whole time. And like I have taken that. I have it tattooed on my arm with a cross next to it. And it's just like a reminder of like someday could be right now. Someday has been here the whole time. And it's just like not seeing the world for what it is, but for what it could be. And not just seeing all like my complaints or I have to do this, I have to do that, but like I get to. And someday I am going to go to heaven and meet Jesus and like do all of those things that I really want to do. But someday is like right now and just living in the moment and not getting too far back in my past because that happens, and then also not too much in my future, which is also hard to do, but just living in the moment and taking it right now for what it is.
I love knowing this now because every time I see the hashtag someday or I see you with it on your arm, I'm going to think of that and I'm going to try to adopt that into my own life because what a cool perspective shift to use when you hear that word. When did you get that tattooed on your arm?
Not this past summer, but the summer before. So 2 years ago
And was
ish.
that your first tattoo?
It was my third.
Your third. Okay, so you weren't even nervous about it or
No,
anything.
my first one, me and Jordy went together to get it, and I got Isaiah 41:10 on my ribs, and she got First Peter, I think, something on her ribs. She almost passed out. I thought she was
Oh.
going down, but no, those
That
were
is so funny. I love that. Well, hey, if you're gonna do it with your best friend, right?
exactly, yep.
I love that. Well, just transitioning from Oklahoma to Nebraska, that's a big change, regardless of if you have one of your girls there ready for you with open arms for a big hug waiting for you. But can you just describe what it was like to make that transition from Oklahoma to Nebraska?
It was fun. All the girls were super inviting when I first got here. They already had like a very family-oriented vibe, and I just was able to slip right into it, and all the newcomers were able to come right into it. But yeah, it was just super I think it was super easy because they were so nice, and like I did have Jordy, and I kind of knew like a couple of the other girls just from playing travel ball and just seeing stuff on social media. Like you kind of just feel like you know people already. um, but yeah, I just fit right in. The coaching staff is awesome. They really care about us and like they care about our culture. And I think it was just easy to like be excited to come here because everyone was so inviting and just like very, very awesome people.
You said that this team plays with a lot of joy and it's something that you guys love to embody. What advice would maybe you give an athlete who might be in that season that you were in years ago where you might not have had that same joy and you might have actually had anger replace it for your sport? What's maybe one like tangible thing they could do during their week that might help change that perspective on their sport?
What I love to do is journal. Even when my life wasn't going super great, I love to journal. And now it's a little different. Like it's more biblical and kind of like a prayer journal, I guess. But like my sophomore year, I was just writing down everything in my head. because I like seeing my thoughts and, like, now I can go back and see exactly, like, the headspace that I was in to, like, now and just see how much it has changed, but I love writing, and I still love writing, but just that helped a lot because your thoughts are powerful, even the bad ones, they are very powerful. So just writing it all down and kinda, like, sometimes you can rip off the page, crumble it up, throw it away because 'cause they're just thoughts, like, they don't have to come true, and I think that was something that really helped me, and then also I would say look for God shots, like, throughout your day, and to me, a God shot is, like, little moments throughout the day that, like, God is showing his character, like, to you, and, joy can be in every little thing, even in the battles, and where joy is in the battle, that's where God is. And just like looking for that in every little thing, because it's always there. Like he's always there, whether like you really want him to be or not. Like he is always there. And I believe that he is where the joy is. So just like looking for him more intentionally and intentionally looking for the good things because there's always good things to look for.
Is this Hannah or Tara Cobble I'm hearing come out? I love it. I love it. But like honestly, like that is like some of the best advice is to look for the God shot. And I think the thing that has helped me mature the most in my faith is like seeing God and not seeing like a coincidence or something random or like seeing closed doors and being, okay, God, how are you protecting me? And seeing
Yes.
open doors of like, okay, like do I walk through this? And so I love that. And it's so cool just to hear that also just the tie with your team and how you all really embody that. And what you said about the crumbled up paper and throw it away, I'm like, "You know what? Actually, that's, like, so true." Like, I'm gonna start
I
doing
did that
that.
all
I
the time.
I love that, but no, that is such good advice, and I think regardless of whether you're a grad student, a senior, or a freshman, an incoming recruit, like, really investing in your faith and leaning on older girls who have been through the fire, like you said, the best, advice or not the reason that you were able to be the leader that you are today is because you had the best example, and, like, for these younger athletes, it's like, look to the older girls who have been through the fire and gone through it with God and maybe also without God, and they can tell you how it went, right? And so I love the advice that you've been given. But let's hear a little bit more about the team this year. What do you all like on game day? Is it loud in the locker room? Is it quiet? Is there like one person on ox? What's the vibe?
Sammy Bland is always on aux, and the locker room is always loud. Everyone always has their coffees. We're a big coffee team. Personally, I'm more of an energy drink girl, but everyone gets their caffeine in, and we'll all eat together, get ready, get hyped for the game, and get down. And everyone's just game day is like everyone's just in such a good mood. Like it's so light, it's so fun. Everyone's just super excited to get out there and just compete with each other.
So fun. And I know in a lot of women's sports, there's sometimes like a team braider. Everybody's got their different hairstyle. What's your go to hairstyle for game day?
I switch it. It kinda like this, but more slick back, and then I could do a braid or I do bubbles. Like this past weekend, I did bubbles. Well, Ava Kuzak did my bubbles because I can't do them very well. But, yeah, it just depends on what I'm feeling.
I like it. You're able to change it up. Some
Yeah.
people have to have the exact same thing the whole time and like, hey, power to you. Like if you were able to pull that off, sometimes you'd be like, yeah, I'm not having a good hair day. It's gonna be a slick
That's
back
switching up
today.
a little bit, yeah.
Whatever it is. But just thinking throughout this season, this year, I know you have a lot of softball left to play, but is there a standout memory that you know you'll have forever on the field with your team?
I think this past weekend, honestly, I think there was a lot of cool moments, but seeing the way our fans showed out and the noise that they brought and our team competing with so much fire and passion, I think just that, like, that feeling, I don't think I'll ever forget, and seeing how fired up, like, each person on the field got for each other, was just something really cool, and I would take that feeling over any trophy, any reward, anything. That was one of the coolest feelings I've ever had in my whole entire softball career.
Wow, that is so fun. In playing in front of your home stadium, what's like the chant? Is there a chant? Is there a tradition? What goes on that's a staple at Nebraska softball?
There's a lot of "Go Big Reds," That took a lot to get like, a lot of me getting used to, just yelling "Go Big Red" a lot, but they have, like, little clap like every other school, and we have this super fan, his name is Kevin, and he shows up in, like, red and white overalls with a red afro, and he is leading every single one of those chants, so
Let's go, Kevin. Come
yes.
on. Let's get Kevin a real uniform at
Yeah.
some point. Let's put him in the full Nebraska getup. But Hannah, seriously, thank you so much for taking the time. This was like a joy to hear from you, learn from you, and learn from your story and trying to adapt that into my own life, some of the things that you said. But seriously, like I'm so excited to cheer you on this season. Hopefully, get to see you have another ring on your finger with maybe a different logo this time. We will see.
Yes.
But
Absolutely.
seriously, like cheering you on the rest of the season. And thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. It was nice to meet you.